Hey everybody, it's Sara Humphreys, and this is my first episode of Story Behind the Story with Sarah and Samantha and Sarah Take on Romance. So my story behind the story today is about Unleashed, which is the first novel that I ever had published, and it's book one in the Amavale Legends series, which is part of my paranormal romance, and it's about shapeshifters. So I've had people ask me things like, where did you come up with the idea? And is the heroine anything like you? Well, first and foremost, I actually came up with the idea and wrote this series at the beach in Rhode Island, in Westerly, Rhode Island, which is where Unleashed is set. And our family has a beach house there, and I was up there one summer, and I just thought, you know what? I had this idea for a series about these shapeshifters, and I wanted to set it somewhere familiar, so I set it at the beach in Rhode Island, in Westerly. And I actually wrote most of the book up there that summer. And if you read Unleashed and you go to Westerly, if you go up on Atlantic Avenue to Patty's restaurant and bar, that is where Samantha and Malcolm, our hero and our heroine, have their first real date. And Patty's is a real place. They have great drinks. They're right on the beach, and at night they have really fun cover bands. Sometimes they have 80s bands. So I incorporated a bit of that into the book. The heroine, Samantha, is not me. She probably has aspects of me, but she's definitely not me. The hero is not my husband. It is not any guy I've ever dated. He's just this delicious, chivalrous, slightly old world guy old-fashioned guy, who, was somebody that I thought would be really dishy and wonderful to fall in love with. And he's super hot, which doesn't hurt. The grandmother, Noni, though, is in Unleashed, is actually kind of a mashup of my grandmother, Alice Diamond, and my mother, even though my mother is nowhere near as old as Noni is in the book, of course. But there's aspects of Noni that come from both my grandmother and my mother. And Noni's name, Helen Costigan, was my great-grandmother's name. Very often I use family names in my books, and in Unleashed, the name Costigan is a family name. It was my great-grandparents, Helen and Jack Costigan, who are Samantha's grandparents in the book. So that's a little bit about Unleashed, although I will say, if you go to Westerly, you're not going to find the dugout. I don't think. I did make that up. Actually, the dugout was the name of a diner that we used to go to with my dad, my sister Megan, and I, before Kate and Charlie, my younger siblings, were born. My mom went back to school to get her master's degree. So on Sundays, my dad would take Megan and I out for French toast on Sunday or Saturday morning so my mom could get, her schoolwork done or her studying done. And it was one of my favorite childhood memories. This little tiny, it was called the Dugout, the S&S Dugout in Southport, Connecticut. And it's still there. But my dad, we would get French toast with maple syrup, and that was the best French toast I've ever had in my life because he cut it up for us and he put the butter on. Anyway, it was this really fun childhood memory, so I incorporated that into the first book. In fact, in most of my novels, there's a piece of my childhood embedded in there somewhere, some more than others. So that's a little bit about Unleashed, a little bit about the story behind the story. It is book one in the Amavale Legends series, and I hope you'll check it out. So that's it, guys. Thanks so much. See you next time on Story Behind the Story.